My name is Kelly Quinn, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am an instructor with Canvas of the Wild, which are art classes that raise funds for local conservation and share it both online and in person. And so today we're going to be painting these fun little jellyfish right here. And I'm going to show you how to paint them from the base layer, which is just going to be a nice gradient, show you how to put in that shine, that little highlight, and then develop our subjects, which are our two jellyfish, all using acrylic paint. So just really quick before I go into some more details, I'm going to go over our materials so you can gather those while I go over some of the other things. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your palette all together, and you're only going to need 5 colors. So those colors are literally teal, so we get a teal color here, and then we also have phthalo blue, or just a dark blue color, titanium white, or just a plain normal white, whatever you have on hand works fantastic. And then our other two is orange, and then a really dark purple right here. And so these are going to be, these 5 colors is what we use to create this entire painting right here. And then the brushes that we're using include these guys right here. And so it's going to be a big old flat brush, like a size 10 to 12, something like that. Nothing specific, just a general size. A medium flat brush, just like this guy, and that flat brush is called a flat brush because of that nice edge. And then a small round brush, just like this guy right here. I don't know if you can see it quite, but it's just a little pointed round brush. And then of course you just need a cup of water, a little rag or a paper towel, and then a pencil so we can sketch in our little jellyfish and kind of give us a guide for a gradient in the first step. Now while I get y'all closer and you can get your materials, I'm going to go over just a few things. First, I grew up in Florida, so I've been here my whole life. I now live in St. Pete, Florida, and my favorite place is in Kissimmee. And why Kissimmee is because that is near where I grew up, and I've always been inspired by the wetlands and seeing like alligators, birds. It's always been my first love. And then after I was inspired by the conservation and creating art, it was just the way that I interpreted the world and learned about it. I went to the University of Florida for art, fine art, and art history. And then after graduating from the University of Florida, I met my partner and boyfriend, Blake Wheeler, and together we developed these art classes, Canvas of the Wild, that you see right above right here, that go around and basically support initiatives for conservation. And see, why I love Florida so much is because obviously all the sunshine, who doesn't love sunshine? And then the biodiversity of wildlife here is just amazing. There's really not too many places in the world that you can have all these reptiles, you can have all these mammals, and then you have all these marine animals and mammals all in one place. So we're very lucky here to have all the creatures that we have, and we need to protect them and love them all equally. And then one of the other reasons why I love Florida so much is because of the diving. Blake and I, we love to go diving, especially with sharks, some of our favorite critters. And so we always go diving with a Jim Abernathy off the Palm Coast. It's always a good time. And then right before we grab these last couple materials, we're gonna hop right into our painting here in just a minute. But I was just gonna go over a couple more things. Like you can also support, if you haven't done yet, support some local businesses and like local artists, local artists, local like food spots, coffee spots. All of that helps so much in this time, and we really appreciate your love and support. If you would like to share a little bit of that love today, you can use my Venmo account, Kelly of the Wild, with just 2 ticks in between, so Kelly Tick of the Wild. It's also in one of the first comments up top if you're interested in that, but no worries, no pressure. Alrighty guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start getting into our jellyfish, and I'll cover some more things as we get going. Alright, so just make sure you have your blank canvas. It can be a piece of paper as well, if that's all you have on hand. It's all good, but first thing we're gonna do is put in our jellyfish sketch. So we're gonna be putting on our jellyfish sketch, we just think of them as upside down teacups. And they're gonna kind of be at an angle. So our tentacles are gonna be going shoop this way. So just put your teacup up here in the top right corner, like that. And then you're gonna put another teacup going this way, just like so. And so jellyfish are pretty simple creatures to develop. They're Also pretty simple in and of themselves. They actually have no brain, but they actually are made up of a bunch of nerve endings, but not a real brain, that actually allow for them to feel their environment, which is really interesting. So now we're gonna actually draw in where our gradient's gonna go, guys. So you're going to go swoop, put a curve there, think of it like the sun in the corner, and then you're going to repeat it, going all the way over here, just like that. And these are going to be our 3 areas for our white. We're going to put white right here. You're gonna put teal right here, and then you're gonna put that dark blue color down here. And then I'm gonna show you how to mix a nice pretty gradient with that. And we're gonna take a moment to let it dry, and then we'll do some filtering. So whenever we take a break is when I will ask for y'all to send any kind of questions you might have, and we'll be answering anything about your art needs that you might have. Also know that while we get started, if you would like to share your work with us after you're all done, please, we would love to see it. Share it at Canvas of the Wild with the hashtag of the Wild for a chance to be featured on our page, and we would love to share it. Awesome, guys. So I'm going ahead, go ahead and grab my big brush. So the biggest brush you have, a big flat brush, grab that guy, and then snag your palette, and we're gonna start with our white. So just grab pure white and start to fill in that upper corner over here, guys. And don't be afraid to cover up your lines. It's a-okay. I mean, try to leave your jellyfish lines, but everything else is going to get painted over. But with the white portion, don't really have to worry too much. So I know that I said that teal is going to be in this area, but it is very important that you bring that white into the teal area, because if we put in the white right here at the edge and the teal goes right to the edge and we blend our teal into the white, we're really not going to have too much white left. So this is a way to make sure that we get a nice full gradient. So you're going to fill in your white, about halfway into the canvas, just like so. Excellent. And then you, without having to wash your brush or anything, going to dip it in that teal color, just like that. And I would start maybe on the edge of it, so wherever you didn't put white, start putting in that teal color, just like so. And so you see I'm using my big paintbrush, just broad strokes, just shoop, 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 shoop. And please use sound effects, they're always fun. It definitely helps make the process even more enjoyable. And then just so you know later on, I'm gonna be referring to 2 sides. When I talk about the flat brush, which is this brush, you can do it broadside, which is this big stroke that we're doing, or skinny side, where you do these fine little lines, just going swoop, like that. So now, without cleaning your brush, you're just gonna take that teal, you don't need any more teal on the brush, just so you know, and you're going to feather it back and forth all the way up to around that line where we had our white to teal area. All right. And take your time, guys, because after we're done with this class today, we're going to be posting it live on Instagram TV first thing tomorrow. So we'll just have a day to get the edits all together. And so if you don't get to see necessarily everything perfectly in this class today live, it will be available first thing tomorrow. Now clean off your brush, really, really good. Make sure you don't have too much teal in it. And you're gonna now grab your dark blue color. So this is your phthalo blue if you have it, and if you don't, it's totally cool. All you need is just a dark blue color. Get quite a bit on there and start filling in at the bottom first. And so you see I'm also kind of doing this curved motion, this whoosh, 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 like this, and this is just gonna kind of help create some more interest and movement in our composition. But of course, if you wanted to do one that was just straight down, please feel free. This is your artwork. I'm not here to tell you how to do your work and what makes you happy. I'm just here to show you the materials and techniques and then let you create what you love. All right, let me get up to the little teacup. And I would say, make sure you don't paint over this one with these darker colors. It'll be a bit harder to get back your jellyfish, but if you do, no worries, white is your friend. It will fill in and cover up any of these darker colors once the paint has dried. So just keep that in mind, that if you do have an oops, it's okay, oopsies happen. So just take your time, have fun. All right, so just like that, we've got our nice grading in. Just using our 3 colors, putting them in layers and blending them back and forth. It's looking awesome. And at this point, you can even add in some kind of striations if you would like. No worries if you don't want to. If you just want to keep it nice and smooth, by all means, do that. Just like that if you would like. So I'm just showing you some of the things you can do, but don't feel like you have to do all of these. And something else I like to add in sometimes is a little bit of a lighter one down here. So like some little skinny side marks in the water down here. Perfect, guys. Excellent, excellent. So now we're gonna have to let this dry for just a few minutes. So in that time period, I'm going to answer some questions. I saw some people commenting, so let's hang out literally for like 4 or 5 minutes once you get to this part. And then make sure you also paint around your edges while you're doing this so that you have a nice complete gallery wrap canvas. So I'll be taking questions right now for the next few minutes. Awesome. What if you put too much teal into the white? Good question. Here, I'm answering that right now. No worries, guys. If you put too much teal into the white, just let it dry. It is a-okay. It's acrylic paint and it's very forgiving. So it dries in about 5 minutes or so, and you'll be able to go back in with that white and push that white back into the teal, and you will be completely fine. This is actually not, this one's not a wave. It's going to be the light filtering through to a jellyfish. I'm just answering a question real fast. This is what our painting's going to be. So we're going to be doing this sunburst shine right here in the next step before we start filling in our jellies and having fun with our foreground. So right now we're completely focused on our background. And so while we're letting you guys catch up and get that dried area all done, we're going to be doing some fun little facts. And jellyfish, which I think is really cool, is that jellyfish have existed for millions of years, even before the dinosaurs. They're one of the first animals that have inhabited our planet, and so it's amazing that they're still around today in nearly the same manner. You can find jellyfish all over the world, which I think is just so cool. But they come in many different shapes and forms, but the jellyfish we're painting today is a sea nettle, which are actually at the Florida Aquarium if you ever have the opportunity to go. So we are now have plenty of time to let our painting dry, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the light portion of our painting. So this portion up in the top right. And then I just saw a question asking about what paint we're using. This is actually acrylic paint. If I didn't say that earlier on, I apologize. Yes, so this is acrylic paint, which is very forgiving. It dries very, very fast. But if you're using any other kind of color, any other medium like pencils or anything, this will also work really well. So whenever we're putting in a sunburst, we're gonna start from our white area and then just start pulling it into the other darker portions. And so we're using a medium flat brush now. So you can also use the big flat brush, which is what we were using before. But this is our medium flat brush. It was just slightly smaller. You can use both. There is no wrong thing. It's just my preference that I like to use the smaller one. And so you're just very quickly starting from the white and pulling into the teal. And I'm not really adding too much water right now, but if you would like to add a little bit of water, I'll show you what that looks like. Right here, so just adding in the water will help you to fill in a bit more of this kind of grainy look that you see right here, how it kind of disperses. If you add just a tad of water, it will be all perfect and good and smooth out. Excellent, guys. All right, so once we're done with the white there, that's all you need. Don't worry about doing too much. Just get a few stripes coming in there, kind of starting from a point up here, and you're just gonna go shoop, 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 kind of like a flower. So just starting from a central point and then just bursting out. And now using our same brush, we're going to go ahead and fill in the bell of our jellyfish. So we're gonna be using white to start with, just so we have a good base. And we're going to be curving around just like this. And just filling in our jellyfish with white to start with. Obviously our jellyfish up top probably has a lot of white already in him. Maybe he's even kind of disappeared, and that's okay too. All you're gonna need to do is grab a little bit of that teal and a little bit of white together, mix it, get a lighter teal color, and then just kind of put another bell in if you've lost your lines completely. Or on mine, I can actually still see my lines very faintly, so I'm just gonna lightly fill around the edges. But don't necessarily fill in completely with teal, just use it as a guide to kind of get your bearings on where your little jellyfish is again. You guys are doing awesome. I will answer questions here again in just a moment. Let me see. Let me grab our round brush. So we don't even have to wait for our next step. Don't have to let it dry or anything. We're just gonna grab our small round brush, just like this guy right here, whatever you have that's similar. And we're going to go ahead and mix up the color of our jellyfish while they're kind of drying for a moment. So color mixing is really awesome, and there's a reason why we chose the colors that we did. So our orange is a complement of blue. So, you know, think of like, if you have a favorite sports team, most sports teams use a complementary color set, such as the University of Florida, orange and blue, or LSU, purple and yellow. So those are just examples, but those are just pleasing to the eye naturally, and they just really set each other off very well. So they're just great complements and very vivid. So you're gonna grab a little bit of orange, not too much, and then you're gonna grab a nice little bit of white. Oop, see I got some some dark blue mixed in with that. So I'm gonna have to do a new little patch over here. Grab a tad of water, a few drops of it. Scoop more of that white. And you're gonna get this peach color, coral, peach, whichever you prefer. It's lovely, one of my favorite colors, and it's great for putting in jellyfish, especially with this bright blue background. So you're gonna take this color and you're gonna start to just put these little half circle stripes going around your jellyfish. Just like that, adding it in. Doesn't matter if you're going over the teal. If your color isn't quite dry just yet, that's a-okay too, no worries. It just takes a minute and you'll be all dry. And it actually looks pretty cool whenever you allow for your colors to mix just a tiny bit, because jellyfish are see-through, so you're gonna see a tiny bit of teal and blue at the very end whenever we go in and add our final highlights. And so I'm mixing up some more of our orange and white color over here. Just like that, just defining our edges a little bit more. Perfect. And now we're gonna do the next color for our jellyfish, which is purple. So if you have a dark purple, you're gonna have to just lighten it up quite a bit. If you already have a pretty bright purple, you'll see the color we're going for. This is the purple we're going for, is this lighter, very vivid purple. But we're gonna add a little bit of orange into it, just a teeny tiny bit. See how I just literally did a baby bit of it, just to make it a bit more warm. And so it's gonna be that mix between warm and cool that really make this piece pop. And now we're gonna use this purple color that we just made, and we're going to outline, using our round brush again, guys, the entire jellyfish. It's like that. But we're gonna do something extra on the bottom. So we're gonna do some little half little circles at the bottom, kind of think of them like little pearls, like that. And then wherever those little pearls, like wherever there's a line they share, just kind of go up from that line, or just from the crevice, like this, and just make some cool little striations going up the body. And this is really gonna help create form in our jellyfish. I'm gonna go in and obviously highlight and do a lot more work in here as well, but this is just our first layer. And be sure to do the same with this one up here. And of course, you know, if your painting is dry, which it should be if you've used just the right amount of paint, at this point you can actually lay your hand on the canvas, and I find that that helps really, really well for getting more smooth lines. And of course, adding just a tad bit of water to your brush just to keep it nice and smooth is always helpful. And again, we're gonna do the little circles, little pearls, going around the rim of it. Just like this. And then again, we're doing those little tick marks. And this again just creates form for our jellyfish, creating more of a 3D perspective and effect, which is really gonna be awesome when we're all done. Excellent, excellent. All right, so we got the bells in for the most part. So now I'm gonna pull up our finished painting and kind of show you what we're doing next. Next, we're going to be putting in these little oral tentacles or oral arms, which are these like little cluster right here in the center, using that purpley pink color. And then we're gonna put our darker tentacles in, which is gonna be our background tentacles. Let that dry while we put in all these cool little dots, little pieces of like plankton and things like that floating in the water, adding some movement, and then go back in and do our final highlights, and then we will be all done with our jellyfish painting. And of course, again, guys, if you miss one little piece of this step, don't worry about it, guys. It'll be live tomorrow. You'll just have to wait a night, but that'll be a-okay. If you have any questions, I am here to answer them. We'll take a break here in just a second so I can get to them. All right, so we're gonna be using that purple color that we've already mixed up right here. Maybe grab a little bit more, make it a little darker, and a little bit more orange. So we're just having some fun. Color mixing is probably one of my favorite aspects of art. There's so much you can learn from color. Color affects emotion, can share how you feel. It's one of my favorite aspects of the art making process. All right, so I created a more orange-purple mix and then add a little bit of white. All right, perfect. Now for our oral arms is what they're called. There's actually two kinds of tentacles on a jellyfish, and it's the oral arms, which are the center. There's like 3 of them in the center, and then all the little tiny long stringy ones are just tentacles. So we're doing the bigger one right now in the middle, and it's literally just this kind of like a tornado effect, if you want to think about it like that, just below it. And it's just like little pit-pat, 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 little swirlies. There's nothing too intense. You need to focus in on it. Just add in some little scratchy scratchies, kind of abstract-like strokes, just like that. And while it's still wet, go ahead and grab some more of that white and orange mixture, which we made coral orange color, and go over top of it with just like a few little so like our little tick marks, little extra marks right there. Just add a bit of highlight and brightness to it. Fantastic, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and put in the darker tentacles, and then I will answer some of you questions while we let it dry, and we'll hop back in and finish up our jellyfish. Again, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm so excited that I get to share how to paint these jellyfish with you. And thank you again, Love Florida, for having us on here. It is such a pleasure to be able to paint this with you guys. All right, so you have your color all mixed up again. You're using your round brush, and you're gonna go ahead and start with your left over here and put your tentacle kind of like squishing in, like it's moving through the water, creating like a tightening effect around the top portion and then expands as it goes down. So it's going to be swooping around. Just like this. And put one like behind there. Perfect. And now with this guy, I would go ahead and put one really big one going all the way down to the bottom, just like that. And at this point, using your quite a bit of water with your mixture here, it's gonna help you a lot so you don't have any kind of a breaking effect in between your lines whenever you're doing one stroke, like how I had down here. So I'm gonna have to go back over it again. And just to redefine it is all. And of course, take your time. There's no rush here. We're about to take a break for a few moments so I can answer some questions, and feel free to just keep painting your little heart out. All right. Just like that. And then of course, all the way up here, let me brighten it up just a little bit more. Awesome. All right, guys, so now that we have this base layer in, why we do it all dark first is because the acrylics, you want to start with your darks and go to your lights. And whenever you do the darks to lights, you actually get more contrast and more form and more highlights that make this look more realistic and popping off the canvas. All right, so I'm gonna go through the comments really fast, so please feel free, ask anything if you have it right now or anything about our last few minutes with this painting. Let's see. Hello everybody, I love all the waves. Thank you all so much for the love. Excellent. So again, guys, for this part, we've been using a little round brush, but you can also use a flat brush, which is something that I'm going to show you literally in our next step. So that's a good question there, Lauren. She just asked, is it super important to use different types of brushes to make certain strokes? And the answer is it can be, but for this piece right here, we have pretty versatile brushes. So right now we're gonna hop back in. It should be dry enough that we can go ahead and start layering in our highlights. And now the highlights, just pure white right here is what we're gonna start with. Using our round brush, just a little round brush is great again for doing more of the details and obviously putting in these lines for the tentacles, but we're actually gonna be using our flat brush for our next step. But first, we're gonna fill in where we had those little like pearls, the little edges, with our white. Just like that. And then we're gonna put some little strikes or striations in the top part of the bell, like how we did with that dark purple color. Except now we're just gonna do it with some white. And especially on the very tippy top, so it's getting a highlight from that sunlight that's shining down on our little jellyfish. And we're also gonna do the same right over here. Excellent. So if any of you guys haven't been to the aquarium before, they actually have a lot of marine life, obviously, but we have quite a few jellyfish species. They're really, really neat to see. Now, of course, we all know that jellyfish can sting you, but the majority of time, the jellyfish will not harm you too much, except for a couple of species like the man-o-war and a box jellyfish, which are some of the most poisonous jellyfish in the world. But for the most part, all the other jellyfish will leave you a nasty burn type of injury, but overall are relatively harmless. Now these little guys, like sea nails especially, tend to hang out in the Gulf. There's actually two species of it though. So there's one species in the Gulf that has these smaller bells, like these guys right here, and then there's a species that's in On the Atlantic side, that has a wider bell. It's about twice the size of these guys right here. Excellent. All right, so then once you have in your white right there, now we're going to go in and add our final highlights with our tentacles and do the little dots in the background. So like I said, you can use these brushes in multiple ways. So we're gonna switch over to our flat brush just so I can show you how I like to do tentacles as well, besides with a round brush. And it's up to you to choose whether or not you want to use this brush. You can continue using your little round brush. That is perfect. I'm just using this as an opportunity to show you how to use another brush for another technique. So using the skinny side, you can just do little flicks, just like so. And you can get really nice smooth strokes, especially if you have a really clean flat brush or a new flat brush. It's very, very nice, awesome, versatile brush. So again, I'm just doing a nice little swoop. And don't feel pressured to use this if you don't want to. This is your painting. Again, guys, I'm just here to show you how to develop it and how to use the acrylic brushes and acrylic paint to create your own piece. Excellent. And so then that's how you can put in your lines with one of these flat brushes. And now we're almost all done here today, guys, but there's just a couple more things that we're gonna add in, and that's just going to be these little dots and these kind of little motion kind of signifiers that you see right there. And of course, you don't have to put that in if you don't want to. I'm just showing you what this looks like if you want to complete it all the way to the way that I've developed it. All you have to do is take your little round brush and start adding little teeny tiny dots, little bloop bloop bloops, and make sure you put them in between your jellyfish's tentacles, just like that. Some little dots. Boom, boom, boom. So you kind of think of them like little stars, but they're really just like the particles that are floating around in the ocean, which are mostly like planktons and phytoplanktons that species like whales, like humpback whales and other baleen whales specifically will feed on, filter feeding. And of course, jellyfish are part of that group, as well as many others. So all those little dots are really just those phytoplanktons that are being highlighted by our sunshine that we just put in. All right, and you can even kind of take it into the pure white, and they'll show up in there as well. And then once you have those little dots in, you can either add in some little like parentheses around some of them. You do not have to. Again, guys, this is only if you choose. Just like that. And I wouldn't put it around every one either. So just pick a handful, kind of do 1, 2, 1, 2, something like that, and it will be perfect. Excellent. All right, and then as soon as you get in the amount that you feel is right for you, maybe the last thing you can put in is some little parentheses, little motion marks going around the outside of your jellyfish, which kind of make them look like they're moving around in that nice big old water column. Just like so. So only like 1 or 2 is all you need, and then you're all good to go. And then just like that, guys, you have completed your very own jellyfish. So congratulations, I am so proud of you. If you have any questions about this piece or you want to have more in-depth conversation about it, please feel free to send us a message again at Canvas of the Wild and share your work with us using @Canvas of the Wild and the hashtag of the Wild for a chance to be featured. And again, thank you all so much for being on here today and joining us. We really appreciate it.